friends. So I want to talk to you today if you're having any challenges or barriers with connection, relationships, with significant others, friends, parents, anything like that. And specifically if there's one of these three things, when it comes to relationships, having very low self-worth or shame or self-esteem when it comes to being in relation to others. Two, what is, I'm kind of ambivalent about these words, but what is commonly called neediness, clinginess, like a need for a big need for reassurance and soothing from your partner, which is okay, but it's if you're feeling like it's excessive. And then three, hyper independence, like I don't need any help, I am on my own, don't need help or co-regulation, I got this on myself, for myself, leading to maybe some burnout or also pushback from a significant other who wants to help. So if any of those three things are resonating, or you're just interested, follow along. I have a table coming, and I have a kind of insight that I found that can be at the root cause of some of these. So before we get into that, y'all, I just want to give you the context. So the context is this. The context is I was working with 3 clients, and they had those presenting issues. And at first, for weeks, I did not really see a connection between them. You know, I was just kind of doing my independent research and work with them. And then I started seeing, as we were getting deeper, that there was a similar root cause, which had to do with a family system growing up that was just not able to reflect, hold, and recognize some of the needs they had for regulation, emotional regulation. And that became really interesting to me. So I started thinking and studying this. And so I picked up a concept. I'm using a concept that I'm going to share with you now. And the concept is actually coming out of software development, so like coders. And they have this very interesting idea called technical debt. And this is the idea when you're first starting on a project, you often are new and inexperienced, and you often don't have a lot of resources. And so in that situation, you need to make decisions for technology that maybe is needed at the moment, but down the line, it kind of holds you back. One, because people on your team need to learn how to use the system, so there has to be a lot of unlearning. And two, just taking things apart and putting them back together just is costly, especially if things are already working. You have to like pause and slow down the business or whatever you're working on to build a stronger foundation. And because of that, even like huge, big operations like Google have, you know, systems that are like pretty surprisingly not as advanced as they could be because of this enormous cost. And I actually think this is a really good metaphor for attachment, and I'll get into that. So I think, like, let's look at the self-esteem case study. I have so much compassion for us when we're young and we develop low self-esteem as a coping mechanism for an environment that can't hold our relational and emotional needs. And the reason is because we can't change our caregivers, but we can change ourselves. So it's actually empowering when we're dependent on someone. It's like, oh, okay, I really need this person, and you know, they're not giving me what I need, so I'll change myself, and maybe if I could just change myself, then I'll get what I need. And we now can feel with compassion like that was always going to be a doomed proposition, and it wasn't fair. But from the child's perspective, it's actually quite rational and makes a lot of sense and is empowering because it's very hard as children for us to cognitively like holding ambivalence, like, well, you know, parent is, I love them, but also they're not perfect. I can't get everything I need from them. And actually, in some ways, they hurt me or seem to not care about me. It's very hard situation to be in. It's very, very difficult. So I think we pick up these stories, these ideas of like, okay, if I was better, or if I just act, that's the self-esteem one, or if, I just am louder, maybe just be louder or be sicker or be whatever I need to be to get that attention. That could be another strategy. Or the third one, I'm not putting up with this. Like, and you know what? I'm never going to put up with it. The hyper independence. But these are all at the root cause a form of coping with a really difficult relational environment, early relational environment when we are very dependent. And as we grow, it might be a form of technical debt, meaning it made sense in the moment, but it can have consequences for us down the line. And yeah, so now let me share the table because that was a little complicated. Okay, here we go. Helpful table. 3 experiences, 1 root cause. So you've got the table is laid out as experience, so low self-esteem, excessive need for reassurance and or clinginess and hyperindependence. It looks at how the coping mechanism developed in childhood, the technical debt in current relationships, and how a corrective emotional experience in therapy can help. And you can see these if you want to read them. If you want to see this, I know it's a bit shaky, just hit me up and I'll email it to you or whatever. Okay. So I hope that's helpful, friends. Let me know if I can dig in deeper on any of these. I didn't really talk about like what a corrective emotional experience looks like, but basically that's, one of the main theories that I'm coming out of is that exploring patiently connecting and tending with emotions in relationship to a caring individual can help rewire certain relational patterns in a way that can be very safe and objective in a therapy container. So yeah, we could talk more about that later, but I'm going to end here, and good job out there.